Welcome. I'm Chris Miglino with Sequire, and we are at the world-famous Roth Conference in Dana Point, California, and I am here with Kit Gray from PodcastOne, ticker symbol PODC. Welcome.
Thank you,
Good
Chris.
to see you.
Happy to be here.
Joining us.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the company. I know, we've been following the company a long time through Live One. Now you guys are on your own.
That's right.
And it went public this year, right? On its own? September, okay. So it's, and the stock has done well. It's held up there.
Yeah, it's coming back a little bit. Yeah, we're pretty happy about that. And good momentum going into this next new year. Our fiscal year ends in 2 weeks.
Okay, great. So tell us about the business and how you guys are generating the revenue.
Sure.
I mean, everybody knows podcasts. I don't think there's anybody that's not listening to more podcasts now than they did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But give us, explain to the audience how you're generating revenue off that and how the business works.
Sure. So PodcastOne has 185 podcasts that we represent, produce, and in many cases own. We have a team of about 50 people that work for us in many different capacities for marketing, for sponsorship opportunities and ad sales. We do our own hosting platform. We have production. You've been to our studio in Beverly Hills. We help our talent produce from all over the world, either in their home studios or when they're on the road. We do audio, video. We hit all the marketing sides of that. And really everything soup to nuts for someone to come in and do a podcast.
And do you guys... do you own some of the podcasts and you partner on them? What's the difference between that of your ownership of a podcast or if you're just partnering with somebody on it?
Right. Well, our services are open to anybody that wants them in any capacity. If we own the show, we do everything from production to sales to hosting. But if we just represent the show, where we have a contract for an extended amount of time and exclusive sales representation, that will be... they can pick and choose. Do they want production? Do they want marketing help? What do they want? And then we craft deals particularly.
And do they pay you for those services or you take a piece of the revenue off for those services?
We take a piece of the revenue off of the services. Everything is based on minimum guarantees and revenue splits. Mostly revenue splits initially because we didn't have any money. And then it would just be go out and sign some advertising deals and then we just split accordingly. But now, as the industry has evolved, and as you said, many people are listening to podcasts now. There are minimum guarantees and big dollars out that we take chances on, calculated risks on.
And who owns that? Who owns the content once it gets created on your platform? Does obviously if you own it, the company owns it. But if a third party is partnered with you, do they still own their content, or do you they own it?
They own it. And in many cases, we just represent and monetize and market and help grow those shows and then take that revenue share that we were talking about. But also in many cases, we own some of the content. Right?
And how does that work? Where does the revenue get generated? Because some of it is generated off of subscriptions, or is it mostly done through advertising?
95% of our business is done through advertising. Okay. So we have a team of 12 people that go out and sell sponsorships, not only spots and dots and endorsement radio type spots, but social media mentions. We now do video as well. We do exclusive episodes where sponsors would actually come on and talk about their brands. So we do everything kind of soup to nuts in that sense and have a bigger advertising pool to go into and more dollars.
So when you're taking a show,
mm-hmm.
you're taking that to ad agencies.
That's right.
And you're pitching this network of all of this reach.
That's right.
And what's the reach of all of those?
We have over 40 million downloads on a monthly basis.
Wow.
4 to 5 million unique listeners on a monthly basis too. So,
and what's the CPM that they pay for that? What does an ad buyer pay to advertise into that ecosystem?
Yeah, the host endorsement where they say, hey, I'm using stamps.com or BetterHelp, something like that. We charge higher CPMs, 25, 35, 45 in many cases. Podcasts don't have a ton of inventory, so if it's an hour of programming a week,
right,
maybe you get 5 units in that hour. So It's very exclusive.
And it's funny you say stamps.com because every podcast I listen to has stamp. They must get a lot of business.
This is one of the first advertisers I brought into the space.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some funny stories about that. But yeah.
Sorry, and I interrupted, but so there's the beginning of the show, and then somewhere along in the middle, sometimes
you'll hear ads too,
right?
Yeah, and you'll take breaks just like you'd hear on radio, but they'll be much shorter. Maybe you get 1-2 ads, maybe at the most. So that's one revenue channel, and then now there's also digital ad insertion breaks that not only monetize consumption of the most recent podcast, but if you just found out that Adam Carolla has a podcast and you go back and listen 12 years ago to his first episode, we can actually monetize that impression as well using this technology. That also hooks up to trading desks to get programmatic revenues, and you'll see revenue or CPMs more along the $8 to $15 range in that spot, but it's not the host doing the reads. They can't buy show by show. They have to buy adults 25 plus.
But that scales.
That scales.
That scales better. So if you just add more inventory, it's less work for your sales guys. The trading desks are tied in.
That's right.
Yeah. And are all the trading desks integrating this type of thing, like the trade desk?
Yep.
And okay.
Yeah, and we actually hired somebody that actually his one job is to go out and connect trading, to these trading desks around the world to buy audio inventory, just like they buy banner networks and video networks online. So,
and is there a group of other podcast companies that have teamed up together, or are you all just going at one off on your own and trying to get the buys?
We use a company called AdsWiz, which is part of the Pandora world, where we work with them a lot on selling into a lot of those programmatic desks, but we do a lot of deals direct with them as well. So,
and are you seeing that inventory? Are you seeing more people willing to buy into the podcast arena now? Like when you started this,
yes,
you were early. Super early.
Right at the start, where it's just stamps.com and it lives in there forever. Now you're able to do behavioral targeting. You're able to do geo-targeting, time-sensitive campaigns. We can even, pull ads after they hit the impression goal to serve the next advertiser. So that whole world is changing crazy amounts. It used to be, maybe 5% of our total revenue. It's almost... I would say almost close to 35% of our revenues now is based off of that.
I think that your opportunity with all the cookies going away, right? And you have so much contextual targeting that you can do. Because somebody listen to a business podcast, that's a business person. Somebody listen to health and wellness, somebody listening to, you name it.
Yeah. Well, the brands love it because the qualitative aspects of a podcast listener is exactly who they want, right? They're tech savvy. They have money. They have a phone. They're usually into the market of buying high-priced items or things like that and buying online. So it's exactly the audience they want. They have very little waste. They use attribution companies to, target. So if you heard a Home Depot commercial on Adam Carolla, you could actually go to Home Depot on your phone or your laptop, and they actually track that. So they're seeing actual digital success of their campaigns, and that's why they're coming back into the space.
And they can track the attribution from the listen of the download of that all the way through to the click, to the purchase.
To how far along they are in the website, in the sales process, in the funnel. Yeah, wow. They can see that. So they love it. It's really a great combination of old school radio marketing with those, hey, use stamps.com, but now you can use the digital attribution to say, okay, this guy went all the way here to signing up for stamps.com. He's been a client for 8 years, whatever it might be.
I mean, radio advertising is got to be a tough sell right now. I mean, I was in an Uber the other day, and the Uber driver turned on the radio.
Yeah.
And I said...
That's rare.
I said, I go, do you still listen to the radio? This is the first time somebody's turned on the radio ever in like years. In the car. He goes, I listen every once in a while, know?
Yeah.
But podcasts must be taking off like crazy.
I grew up in Boston. I'm a huge Boston sports fan. So the reason I got into podcasting was I was living in LA, but I was able to listen to local radio stations in Boston to hear about Red Sox and Celtics content while I'm in LA. So I don't have to listen to the Laker talk, right? So that was like my life, and that's why I got into this, actually.
So tell us about where the revenues are now and where you think they're going.
Yes. So we'll finish our year in the 55 to 57 million range. We end in 2 weeks, and we see opportunity for extreme growth. what's going on right now is you're seeing a lot of these major companies, iHeart, Amazon, Spotify, they're still spending money on the big name talent, whether it's Joe Rogan or SmartLess or those kind of guys. But those middle tier podcasters that have 100,000 downloads an episode aren't getting the attention that they deserve or want, and we can flourish with those type of people. We bring them into our system, we market them, we sell them differently. We sell not only the most current consumption, but old consumption, social. So we really do hands-on work with these guys to take their business from where it is to where it's going to go. And that's our niche. That's where we find, we call them podcasters, and those are the people we want to work with.
So what do you think that takes you? Where do you think that if you're, you close out this year and you're looking into next year, you probably don't, I don't know if you have any numbers out there.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Okay.
But
I mean, do you think that you saw it grow? What was it the year before? Let's go backwards.
You're seeing about 20 to 23% growth.
Okay.
On an annualized basis.
And plus you were entrenched in the Live One ecosystem at that point.
That's right.
Now you're out on your own.
That's right.
At your own public company.
Yep.
So you don't have a distraction of anything else that's going on inside of the parent. You're being measured by the success of your own existence here.
Cash flow positive. And yeah, we're really excited about it. We're going to use our stock to help acquire some shows with better margins. And we just see a bright future for us. And podcast listening isn't slowing down. I mean, the more you read about it, the more, like you just said, no one's listening to radio. People are back in their cars. They're listening to podcasts.
Yeah, I love it personally. I learn a lot listening to podcasts, working out, in the car, wherever you are.
Walking the dog.
I just think that it's your business is poised for fantastic success. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So if you haven't checked it out yet, it's PodcastOne, PODC.
On the NASDAQ.
And so check out the stock, watch for the growth, and download. Where can they go download some of your podcasts? Where do they go?
Anywhere you want to go. Spotify, Apple, PodcastOne, any of those sites, you can grab them.
Now, how would somebody know that it's a PodcastOne podcast on Spotify?
You'll see a little logo in the label that says PodcastOne, or you'll have an intro that'll say, hey, this is a PodcastOne production in some capacity.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.